I sat there while you pled your case for confidence and secrets to be arrayed. I was riddled by your words. I bet that you could hardly wait to send
Yo.
carefully for me.
What's up, y'all? I'm Jeremiah. You're listening to Diatribes. Thanks for joining me for episode 1. I'm just glad that I remembered the name. If you'd like to contact me, my email address is daddydiatriber@gmail.com. Guess that was kind of hard to remember. And if you want to follow me on Twitter, where I don't tweet all that much about parenting, so with that cell job, you can follow me on Twitter, where I do tweet interesting stuff every once in a while. My username is @JeremiahJM. If you don't know how to spell Jeremiah, then read your Bible, people. I mean, seriously. Okay, today I want to talk about telling children don't cry, or some variation of the sort. I believe that a helpful metaphor to kind of lay the groundwork somewhat quickly, as I am deliberately short with this podcast, so it doesn't take up much of my time, but where I can still talk about this stuff. A metaphor to lay the groundwork. Okay, imagine that you are in a conversation with a severely physically and mentally developmentally disabled individual, but one who is also articulate. So they can tell you how they feel, they can tell you what's going on inside of them, they can tell you what they are observing about what's going on. I understand that this is an unlikely scenario, but it is a hypothetical, after all. But they don't really know what's going on in the world around them. They have no idea about their future. They don't know how to understand and interpret the reality of the world they live in. So you're talking to them, and they are telling you that they are so hungry. They're so hungry, they feel like maybe they're going to die immediately, or maybe they don't even know what death is. They know they have this desire that is causing them somewhat pain, some amount of pain, and it feels incredibly urgent, like it needs to be met immediately, or something terrible is going to happen. To them, it's life or death, and they have no idea that people regularly feed them, that there are people there that around them that care for them and will provide for them the food that they need. They just know they have this desire, and they have it right now, and they're existing in this moment, and all they can think about, and the thing that they're most afraid of, is not having this desire met soon. Now guess how babies communicate. They don't have the communication skills of this fake individual who will never exist that we're talking about. Babies communicate through crying, especially when they first come out. Hopefully, as they grow up, you and I will teach them means of communication that are a little more effective and clear and specific. But for now, right away, being sad, crying, is their number one way of getting their needs met. I submit to you that telling your baby not to cry when they are crying because they have a deep concern for their needs being met or their desires being met, which are the same thing to a kid. They're actually the same thing to most adults for a long time. You know, we have a lot of strong desires about things that we think that we need when we really don't need them, but we are getting way off topic. Telling a baby don't cry is not all that different than talking to the hypothetical disabled individual and telling them, when they are telling you about how deeply felt their needs are, telling them to shut up. You are, in both cases, you are saying, do not tell me about how you feel. Do not tell me about these needs that you have. Don't tell me about your fears or your desires, and don't communicate things to me to try to get me to meet your needs. Now, I understand I'm not trying to condemn anyone. I think I have no interest in doing that, although some days I do, but right now I don't. I don't think you need to feel bad about it, but it's not a very respectful thing to say to a child. It's treating them as if they should be someplace different than where they are when they shouldn't. They're a baby. If they're communicating to you their needs through crying, that's okay. That is exactly what they should be doing at that time. And telling them not to use their means of communication, it doesn't treat them with very much honor. And it's not very good groundwork for building on in the future. And I understand why you do it. I understand why I have the desire to do it. And I watch people do it with my son and tell them to please stop and find different ways of talking. And we're already a little low on time, but I think I'll talk about some more potentially empathetic ways to talk to a crying baby, which are and can be at least effective at helping them not cry. And I think are a good way to set the standard, the framework for building communication with your child in the future. Oh, what was I saying? Okay, sorry. I understand why you do it. I understand why people do it. You don't like when babies cry. It's uncomfortable, and you don't want them to be sad. You don't want them to cry. You just want them to be happy and joyful all the time. Of course you do. You love them. You care for them. But when they cry, it's okay. And when you tell them don't cry, you aren't actually doing it for them. Sometimes you might be, but I bet you're not. I bet if you really examine your motivation for telling a baby not to cry, it's because their crying makes you uncomfortable. It's because you don't like it, because it does something in you that involves negative emotion. And it's supposed to. But telling them not to use their only means of communication to explain to you what's going on the best that they can at this point. It's not respectful. It's not a kind way to treat other people, and it's not a good standard to set for your child or someone else's. So, do what you want with your own kid. I won't tell you how to raise them if we're in person. Probably not. It depends on how egregious your actions are. But don't tell my kid not to cry, okay? Guess what? You can tell that this podcast is recorded live because I just played the wrong outro for a different podcast to start off. Anyway, thank you for joining me today. I hope you found this somewhat interesting, and you can expect a lot more episodes and a lot more topics somewhat like this. Peace out, y'all.
You ever catch yourself just thinking of a way to get out? It's like a reflex motion.